what they call myths of so-called ancient black and brown copper tone people have to do with those entities that visited us underground
Mm.
through the portals that exist under our earth into places under the ocean, land areas under the ocean where the oil flows, because the oil flows from a whole other geographic perspective beyond the Antarctic.
Mm.
Okay, and so there are portals under the Antarctic which the Nazis found, and so they are over there. Just look at it as concentric circles.
Mm.
This one circle is us, and that inner circle that you see from the United Nations, that's the Antarctic with the wreath.
Mm.
But there are other circles of ice and lands in between each of them, spreading out into infinity. And if they're going to go to Mars, they're going to land features through the dome or under the dome. That's why it is that you notice that Tesla wasn't talking about rockets. He was telling about rockets coming back. That's not the deal. He is dealing with tunneling. Remember, he was telling you he's going to build a tunnel all
Mm.
the way to Los Angeles?
Mm.
No, he's experimenting on tunnels under the Antarctic where they found old bases that belonged to the Nazis.
Mm.
And those tunnels he want to build goes under the ocean floor, and
Mm.
it comes up. Matter of fact, there was a German who built a paradise for Adolf Hitler beyond the Antarctic, and they called that paradise Asgard.
Mm.
So all of the Nordics that you see dealing with it, they're keeping us constrained, but they're black. There is a way out of our Antarctic, and it's called the Gate of Osiris.
Mm.
And that Gate of Osiris leads us into a whole other ocean
Mm.
and into lands that exist way beyond our reality. Not Bird, but Perry or Bird. One of them visited that. They were visited by those people, and that's when Perry came back. Wasn't that Perry? Wow, went into a blank. Um, it was not Perry. Somebody there understand. But anyway, when he came back, that's when Majestic 12 was created.
Mm.
As soon as he went up to, as soon as what was his name? Admiral Byrd. As soon as Admiral Byrd went up to the Antarctic, he went up there with an armada, a war armada, a battle armada, to root out the Germans that had set up headquarters there, the
Wow.
Nazis. When he went there, what happened was he was met by flying saucers, or he was met by these and Hanebu is what they were called. The Hanebu were these saucers of different sizes that the Nazis had developed. And he went there with Byrd went there with a two battleships, two destroyers, I believe. He went with steamers, I think 4,700 men, and aircraft carrier. As soon as he went up there, he was up there for like maybe 10 days. He was supposed to stay up there and build all kinds of institutions and everything to study cold and all that. And that was the nonsense. He came back in 12 to 13 days. He had lost these ships. He came up there with 4,700 men, got back to the States with only 1,200. They wiped him out damn near. When he got back there, he said, "We got a problem. These guys got ships that can get to us, that fly at unbelievable speeds with weaponry that is way beyond our technology. We got to do something." So that's when Truman signed off on creating Majestic 12. And Majestic 12 is the one that guards and hides all of the knowledge of any so-called extraterrestrial or other I go to extra human beings. So
Mm.
Sirius, yes, Sirius essentially is. They say we're from Sirius. No, when somebody says you're from Sirius, what they're saying is that you're from the consciousness that Sirius gives us. When I say I'm from Sirius, I could say I'm from Orion. I could say that I'm from Pleiades, that they call it. All the different writings or all the different hieroglyphics on the dome, they give off an influence. We were given that in order to read and to know the cycles that our consciousness takes
Mm.
as the sun is in each of these particular hieroglyphics of the sky.
Mm. Man, it's always such an interesting conversation when I talk to you. Like you always make me got to go back and do some research and look up some of the stuff you talk about,
You
Doc.
know, and it sounds like
Definitely. Wow.
it sounds so contrary to everything that everybody's saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
Yeah,
wow,
yeah, you know,
wow.
it's like, yeah, should I believe him? Everybody says, should, well, I don't know because there's so much information coming. That's why I will stay on a certain course until
Mm,
people catch up.
mm, mm.
Because you know that every time I do say something, it sounds crazy. They leave, and then they say, "Wait a minute, I remember Dr. V saying something
Talked
about
about yep.
yeah
Mm,
the HIV, and I remember
mm,
saying something about the Bible. I remember he did a series about the Bible about A, B, and a third. Yeah, go
mm.
back. That's back when I had dark hair. I didn't have
Indeed.
this face. I didn't have this belly, and yeah, I'm glad
Indeed.
I left that there for people. It's like little breadcrumbs along a trail that most
Oh
people
yeah.
take.
Oh yeah. No, definitely, Doc. Definitely. We're not gonna keep the family too long tonight.
Mhm.
I'm gonna have Doc back here before the month is out. I'm gonna have Doc back on here. But before we get out of here, Doc, one more time, tell the people about the rebroadcast of the
Yeah,
webinar.
thank you so much,
Yes, sir.
everybody. Please, I would love to see you there. I don't know when I'll do the next one because it took me 4 months to prepare this one, maybe 5 months. Because usually when I announce that I'm going to do one, it's usually about 5 months before I actually set the date because I've already worked on it. But it's on the 22nd at 12 noon. And if you want the link, uh, brother Rich has that
Description.
in the description. And I want to let everybody know that my wife's book is looks like it's going to be published by October.
Mhm.
And I also want to big up your particular program that's getting ready to happen.
Thank you.
This program with the
Blueprint for God Part 2.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
listen, this young brother has been on the frequency, and the people that he brings on, he becomes like the herald. He guides the ship, and they're the ones that point in certain directions, navigate the different zones of reality and consciousness.
Mhm.
Please support this brother's work. He is doing a yeoman's job, and with all of that, my numbers. I guess everything is in the section there for people to see.
Mhm.
Um, Listen, my last thing is for those of you who have been sending me messages to get you to the blood right ears. I'm not answering anything until after the 22nd. Okay, they're right now swamped based upon me giving that information out. I've been
Mm.
trying to get as much information. Right now, I look at there must be maybe close to 100 people that I have to actually take each of their 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 emails, put it
Mhm.
aside, and then send it to the brothers who are going to help you with the blood right ears. So please have patience. I will get to that. But right now, my main thing is promoting and getting myself ready for the 22nd of this month. Once again, Brother Rich, I thank you so much for allowing me to occupy your platform. And hopefully, what it is that I've said doesn't upset too many people, them thinking that they were spinning on a globe and that Sirius is somewhere over there and over here. And no, it's not that. The very reason, listen very carefully, the very reason that the Great Pyramid can actually stay where it does, and they have that portal that faces Sirius all the time, and they have another portal that faces Orion all the time, means that we're not running around the sun, spinning, all over the place. No, we are stationary as an Earth, and everything else is moving around us.
Very interesting. I absolutely love the conversation, Doc. I look forward to the 22nd, and I'll see you on here in a couple of weeks, Doc.
Yes, sir. Take care.
Take care, everybody. Peace.
Peace. Is that you have been working on over the last 7 years,
Mm,
or the 7 year cycle, you should
mm,
see a lot of manifesting of it. And this is where you're going to see the same thing happens for people who are working on what we call the good side and the one working on the evil side.
mm,
When you're working on the evil side, you're going to see things coming into fruition. But it's also that the good side will also be seeing the karma from those who've been practicing the evil side. So
mm,
a lot of justice will be seen at this particular time. So seven is that jump off point to the number eight, which is as above, so below. So a lot of your affirmations are going to start coming through at
mm,
this point. But the thing is, this is the resting period. This is the meditative period. This is
mm,
the period when you meditate on the thing you want and don't bring anything in to try to rush it, to try to qualify it. It's working its way, just the way that a baby in the womb, nature knows what to do to bring that body to life.
mm,
So nature knows what to do with your affirmation, and you have to now release that affirmation, but hold it as a nebulous energy signature. Don't
mm,
hold it and try to say, well, this is what I want to. Yeah, you've already done that, I hope.
mm,
And then now you allow it to happen. And
mm,
that's the beauty of what this year will be. But it's going to be a lot of turmoil, just as much turmoil as a woman having birth.
mm,
Yeah. So you have to understand a lot of things will be happening during this time, but it's still a resting period.
mm,
Seven, when they talk about the seventh cycle. But this is when metaphysics will be at its height.
mm,
This is where the metaphysical principles of manifestation, of justice, of what go around come around,
mm.
all of this is where it happens within a seven cycle.
Why did God rest on the seventh day, as they say? What is it about seven that God rested on the seventh day?
It's an accretion cycle. The When we talk about consciousness accretion,
Mm,
it happens during the spin orientation of particular particles. As the spin orientation happens, you see, say for instance, if you're looking at the periodic table,
mm,
well, there are periods where things what looks like evolution, but it's actually enhancement of a specific consciousness cycle.
mm,
So you have 1.1
mm,
point one, then you have 1.1.2, 1.1.3, all the way up to 1.1.6, and then it goes to 1.1.7.
mm,
So what you're dealing with is an accretion cycle before things happen in the manifested world. So
mm,
just as you're dealing with affirmations, there's an accretion cycle that solidifies or gives substance to the thing that you've been making that affirmation around.
mm,
So you can see the accretion cycle in the periodic table as the original foundational element in matter is the hydrogen atom.
mm,
But the hydrogen atom is simply a consolidation of a bundle of frequencies that constitute the word as they speak in the Bible.
mm,
So, for instance, when they wanted to find that God particle we're talking
mm,
about,
mm,
well, that God particle was actually the European man is because of his pineal is calcified. He cannot do what melanin does in the activation of Kundalini, though he can if he does certain things with his body, eats certain ways, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Melanin, being the semiconductor that it is, it has a way of channeling what's within the atom. So let me just explain what I'm saying to you.
Mm.
You heard about the Hadron Collider,
Yes.
that huge 5 mile thing that they had, that they created
Mm-hmm.
in order to smash atoms.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they wanted to find out. They didn't know that the atom was not the actual smallest thing in the universe.
Mm.
And so we said, well, okay, the atom is not the smallest thing in the universe. Then what is? So what they did was they took two protons and they had it come. They started to spin and they crashed it together. Two protons together. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is the cycle. The two protons represents the Eta and the Pingala in your body.
Mm.
That's the two snakes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When they crashed the two protons together, what it revealed itself is what they called the God particle. And what that God particle was is what we say in our class, a quantum central resonance, because the resonance looked just like a sound wave. So at the center of the very atom is a sound wave, and that's
Mm.
what we call the word in the Bible. In the beginning was the word was with God, and the word was God.
So at the center of every atom is a sound wave, you said.
It's a sound wave, it's a frequency. You
Mm.
can't see it,
Mm.
but the resonance is on the invisible plane. That's the active principle that actually manifests everything out from its stated design. So every thought, like I said, every thought is a design.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a design, when you think of particular thought, depending on the emotions that you put on it, because you have to have a healthy emotional body in order to create on the physical realm.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're creating, your emotions becomes the diesel fuel.
Mm.
But when it's not, when it's going outward and it's angry, and you could dissipate that power.
Mm-hmm.
But you can use the power of emotion to central to give fuel to the affirmation that you're dealing with. This is why sex or the sexual intercourse is so powerful,
Cause
because you're releasing so much of your emotional energy.
right, right.
And the female would be the perfect chalice, or the perfect sounding board
Mm-hmm.
to enhance that.
Mm-hmm.
You see, because of the fact that she has an unlimited supply of that emotional, and she is the font of the emotional energy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, we keep it in abeyance because of the fact that we're designed more for the intellect, for the grounding of that emotion.
Mm-hmm.
You see, so the emotional energy now is what we need, is what we put into all of our affirmations, but we direct it, we focus it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the focus of emotional energy along with the design template of the affirmation that brings what you want, what you desire into being.
Mm. So your intention got to be there, and your emotions got to be there.
The proper
The
emotions.
proper emotions.
Indeed, indeed. Because you don't take the diesel fuel and you pour it all over the truck for it to work.
Right, right,
You
right.
have to put it in a specific place for it to work.
Mm-hmm. Is that how when the chi or the qigong masters or whatever, when they have the fire coming out their hand, they're channeling emotion through their
Yeah.
arms instead of through
It,
their hands?
yeah, the emotion would be the fuel, and then intention would then spark the fire.
Okay.
Because your intention is actually the one aiming it. In other
Mm.
words, your intentions is the will
Yeah.
coming into being, so that you now can direct it. Now, the will can destroy you as well,
Right, right, right.
see, because you can take will and turn it back on yourself, and they call that ego.
Mm.
What Freud and Jung called the ego was actually free will. Free
Mm.
will displaced, free will not operating within the balance of Ma'at. But he
Wow.
also did that so that the elite white European could use certain psychological ways to say that if a poor person from a lower class sees himself as just as equal as the upper class and begins to act in that manner, then ego is what he displays. But the one who is in the upper class who does that has a great willpower.
Mm,
He can do
mhm,
whatever he wants
mhm,
because of his stature, that type of thing. That's that sick mentality that they have right now.
mm. Family, shout out to everybody. We didn't even get started yet. Me and Doc just be vibing. We just be vibing like that. We just got off to this vibing session, but we about to get started. Let me ask one more question before we go into
Sure.
some of the things I want to go into tonight. Me
Mhm.
and Blue Pill was having this conversation last time he was on the show, and I forgot what we was talking about. But Blue was like, "Yo, the $1 million question," and you was just talking about energy. What is it about the woman? And I know you would know this. What is it about the woman that she's so hot inside? I remember when I used to work as a street vendor outside. You came to Brooklyn and seen where I used to set up at
Yeah.
in Brooklyn,
Yeah.
and I would be out there all day, so I get to see everything. The sisters would be outside with their stomach practically out during the colder winter, and they not cold. And
Hmm.
we was talking about at night. You know how the brothers get next to the big girls at nighttime and they be
Right.
warm, or your sister, or like the sisters, they'll touch you, their hands be warm. One time, my girl was massaging me with a hand. I'm like, your hand feel like an oven, baby. God damn, your hand is hot. What is it
Hmm.
about the sisters that they heat up so much, Doc?
Well, it would depend on the level of fat that they have, that they retain.
Mm,
There are two types of fat. There's the white fat and the brown fat. The
mm,
brown fat is the good fat. That's the fat that essentially is nurturing. The white fat is the one that insulates.
mm,
So if you have a woman, I'm not sure what the conditions were, but women are actually not the heat generators. So
mm,
you have someone that's kind of a gift.
mm,
Women get colder faster because their lungs are smaller than ours.
mm,
So they don't process oxygen into heat as efficiently as men do. Our lungs are huge compared to the female lungs.
mm,
That's
mm,
why you notice sometimes women say, well, you can feel a little bit of cool come at you, but it's intense on them.
mm,
One, because their skin is thinner than ours.
mm,
Our skin is much thicker than theirs.
mm, mm,
And because our skin is thicker, their skin thinner, they tend to get colder faster.
mm, mm,
And since their body doesn't process oxygen into heat as quickly, and they have that and the brown fat, depending on the level of the brown fat that they contain or retain,
mm,
that means that they can generate heat if they have a good abundance of the brown fat, which
mm,
probably your lady does have.
mm.
But if she's open at the stomach, check to see how much layer of fat that she has there. Because
Man, the sisters was slim when I was outside.